The newsroom buzzes with energy as a liberal news anchor takes center stage. With a smirk, they throw out a sarcastic jab aimed at Barron Trump, the youngest member of the Trump family. The audience chuckles, but what happens next shocks everyone. Instead of fading into the background, Barron's response turns the tables entirely. His calm and poised reaction leaves the anchor and the nation speechless. You won't believe how this young man handled such public mockery. It's a moment that proves age is no barrier to maturity and grace. The camera pans to the liberal news anchor, seated confidently under the bright studio lights. The anchor, dressed in a sleek navy suit, adjusts their microphone before delivering a cutting remark about Barron Trump. With a smirk, they make a sarcastic comment about his family name, throwing in a jab about his supposed privilege. The studio audience chuckles lightly, their laughter amplified by the anchor's smug demeanor. As the broadcast continues, the anchor's tone becomes more biting, emphasizing stereotypes and assumptions aimed at Barron. "What does someone like Barron Trump even know about the real world?" they quip, their words laced with condescension. The co-anchors exchange hesitant glances, some appearing uneasy, while others nod along, feigning agreement. Meanwhile, the screen cuts to viewers at home, watching the broadcast unfold. Some shake their heads in disappointment, while others eagerly follow the anchor's narrative, sharing clips on social media. The jab spreads like wildfire online, with polarized reactions from the public. Unbeknownst to the anchor, Barron is watching the broadcast himself. Seated in a cozy living room, his face reflects a mixture of surprise and disappointment. He listens intently, his composure unshaken, but his mind clearly working through the situation. The stage is set for a response that no one sees coming, a moment that will flip the narrative entirely. The scene shifts to Barron Trump's home. He's sitting in a dimly lit, calm living room. The faint glow of the TV screen illuminates his face as the news anchor's mocking remarks echo in the background. His demeanor is quiet, reflective, and remarkably composed for someone who's just been targeted in such a public manner. He takes a deep breath, considering the words before him. Barron, wearing a simple casual outfit, a navy blue hoodie and jeans, sits back in his seat. His facial expression remains composed, even slightly somber, but there's a glimmer of determination in his eyes. His hands, resting on his lap, tense slightly, but not with anger, more with a quiet resolve. Instead of reacting impulsively, Barron calmly turns off the television. The room falls silent. The camera focuses on his face for a few seconds, capturing the deep thought behind his eyes. His lips are set in a firm line, but there's no sign of rage, only clarity. He stands up, walks across the room, and approaches a desk in the corner where his phone rests. He picks it up, opens social media, and begins typing. The words he types are deliberate, unhurried, and confident. He's not attacking the anchor. Instead, his message is thoughtful, mature, and full of dignity. As Barron types, the camera zooms in on the screen. His words appear on the screen, read by the viewer as follows. "We all face judgment at some point in our lives. I choose not to engage with hate or negativity. Everyone deserves respect, regardless of who they are or where they come from. We are all human, and it's time we start acting like it." His response is clear. It's not a fierce retort, but a calm, elegant defense of decency and respect. He sends the message out into the world. Immediately, the camera shows his followers reacting online. His post starts gaining traction, receiving messages of support from those who admire his measured response. The image of Barron, sitting back down after posting his response, is one of quiet strength. His expression remains firm, yet serene. He's not seeking attention or validation. He's simply putting his truth out into the world. The camera shifts to show his parents, Melania and Donald Trump, watching from another room. They exchange a glance, impressed by his maturity. There's a subtle nod of approval from Donald and a comforting smile from Melania, who gives Barron a quiet, knowing look. Back in the living room, Barron sits back, his hands folded, his posture relaxed. The camera pulls back slowly as his words continue to spread, lighting up the screens across the globe. The scene shifts to a bustling newsroom. The set is brightly lit, with an array of monitors flickering behind a polished desk. The camera zooms in on the news anchor, who's mid-broadcast, now fully aware of the growing buzz surrounding Barron Trump's response. His confident, yet somewhat smug expression shifts as the backlash on social media intensifies. The anchor is a middle-aged man with neatly combed hair, wearing a sharp suit and tie. He smiles, as though his earlier mocking remarks have stirred up just the kind of attention he wanted. The camera captures his hesitation, however, as his producer whispers in his ear, signaling that Barron's response has gone viral. The once unshakable confidence starts to falter. The newsroom, normally full of chatter, suddenly feels tense. The lights above flicker a bit, adding to the heightened atmosphere. The anchor straightens in his chair, clearly caught off guard. His usual self-assuredness fades, replaced by uncertainty. He shifts in his seat and begins to speak, his voice slightly more cautious now. He attempts to maintain his composure, but it's evident that the situation has become bigger than he anticipated. Ladies and gentlemen, as we've just seen, Barron Trump has responded to my comments, the anchor starts, trying to regain control of the narrative. His words are deliberate, though there's a noticeable pause before he continues. I must say, his statement is different than what I expected. The camera lingers on the anchor's face, capturing a flicker of discomfort. He's read the online comments flooding in, many of them in support of Barron, praising him for his calm and mature reaction. The anchor's previously smug smile has evaporated, replaced with a forced expression of neutrality. As he watches the growing number of social media reactions on his monitor, his lips tighten, and he glances quickly at the producer, who gives him a subtle but firm nod to acknowledge Barron's impact. The anchor, realizing the shift in public opinion, visibly struggles to find the right words. While I stand by the importance of free speech, the anchor says, attempting to regain some ground, I also believe that we can all learn something from how Barron Trump chose to respond. It's clear that he's taking the high road in this situation. The words feel rehearsed and less genuine, but the attempt at backpedaling is evident. The tone of the newsroom, once charged with a sense of superiority, has softened, and the anchor's attempt at framing the narrative has become less certain. He shifts in his seat again, hands fumbling with the papers on the desk, trying to appear composed. The camera zooms in for a close-up shot of the anchor's face. He forces a smile, but it doesn't reach his eyes. His next words are slower, more measured. We all make mistakes in the heat of the moment, he adds, his voice quieter now. And it's important to acknowledge when someone handles a difficult situation with grace. The room falls into an awkward silence, the hum of the newsroom now replaced with a muted atmosphere. The anchor continues to watch the stream of reactions, his internal struggle clear. He's been humbled by the unexpected power of Barron's response. As the anchor's words linger in the air, the camera transitions from the news studio to a broader view of the public's reaction. The screen is filled with the images of people from all walks of life, on their phones, at work, in homes, watching the unfolding events unfold. The ripple effect is undeniable. In the first scene, we see a group of young adults gathered at a coffee shop. The atmosphere is relaxed, with warm sunlight filtering through large windows. The table is cluttered with laptops and coffee cups, but their attention is now focused on their phones. One person, a woman in her late 20s with dark hair, looks up from her screen, her face lighting up with disbelief. "Did you see what Barron said?" she exclaims. Her friends, one of whom is a man in his 30s wearing a graphic tee, lean in, nodding, as they scroll through social media, reacting to Barron's comeback. They laugh and shake their heads, impressed by his poise and maturity. The camera then shifts to a living room, where an elderly couple watches the broadcast on a television. The husband, wearing glasses and a button-down shirt, turns to his wife with a raised eyebrow. "Well, I didn't expect that," he mutters. His wife, dressed in a floral blouse, nods with a soft smile. She turns the volume up on the TV, clearly moved by the respectful tone of Barron's response. "That boy's got wisdom beyond his years," she says, her voice filled with admiration. From the living room to the coffee shop, the ripple effect is felt across age groups and backgrounds. In the local park, a young father with his son on a swing pauses as he reads the news on his phone. He looks up, sharing a glance with a stranger walking by, both acknowledging how Barron's response has become the talk of the town. In another scene, a group of college students, sitting on the steps of their university, engage in a passionate discussion. One of the students, a woman with bright red hair and a denim jacket, is animatedly talking about Barron's calm response. "You know, it takes a lot of courage to stay composed like that," she says. Another student, a young man in a hoodie, agrees. "It's like he took the high road when everyone expected him to fire back. Honestly, that's something I could learn from." The camera pulls back to show a more global view. A bustling city square where pedestrians walk with their phones glued to their hands. The news ticker at the bottom of the screen flashes Barron's name, followed by the words, "A lesson in grace." People stop in their tracks, heads nodding as they take in the growing sentiment. Finally, we zoom out to show the online world, hashtags related to Barron's response trending across various platforms. The screen briefly flashes posts from Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, showcasing comments of admiration and respect. "This is what leadership looks like," reads one tweet. "Mature beyond his years," says another. People from different political backgrounds, political ideologies, and walks of life are united by the powerful, unexpected impact of Barron's words. The ripple effect has now spread far beyond the confines of the newsroom, reverberating through society in unexpected ways. It's clear that the young man's composed response has started to shift minds, and the ripple of respect continues to unfold across social media, in living rooms, parks, and coffee shops around the world. As the camera pulls back from the online comments, the emotional tone of the scene shifts from surprise to admiration. This simple but powerful act of grace has sparked a larger conversation. As the camera pulls back, the scene shifts to a calm, reflective tone. We return to the news anchor's studio, where the anchor, now visibly stunned and taken aback by Barron's response, attempts to regain composure. His colleagues exchange knowing looks, silently acknowledging that Barron Trump has proven them all wrong. His maturity and poise are undeniable. The anchor's voice falters slightly as he tries to pivot to the next segment, but the weight of the moment is clear. The screen fades to various news outlets, each highlighting Barron's response with respect. On the bottom of the screen, words flash, "A lesson in grace." The camera lingers for a moment on these words, emphasizing the profound impact Barron's words had, not only on the anchor but on society as a whole. A soft, uplifting melody plays in the background, signaling a shift in the narrative. Cut to the living rooms, cafes, and parks we saw earlier, where people, once divided, tense, or skeptical, are now engaged in meaningful, respectful discussions. Conversations are no longer about mockery or ridicule. They focus on character, composure, and leadership. The ripple effect Barron sparked continues to spread, reshaping the atmosphere from one of division to one of understanding. In the final moments, we return to Barron. Standing tall with a gentle smile, he represents a new generation of young leaders, ready to challenge norms and expectations. His expression is calm, composed, and resolute, showing that true strength lies not in responding to provocation with anger, but in responding with grace and dignity. The camera zooms out to a wide shot of the country, symbolizing the widespread impact of Barron's message. The soft sunlight bathes the scene in warmth, a visual metaphor for the healing and unity his response has inspired. A quote appears on the screen. "In moments of tension, grace is the greatest strength." These words linger for a moment as the music swells, creating a powerful conclusion that leaves the viewer feeling inspired and hopeful. As the screen fades to black, the final message remains clear. Barron Trump's comeback wasn't just a moment in time, it was a lesson for all of us. It's a reminder that even in the most trying circumstances, the choice of how we respond that truly defines us.